Hey guys, welcome to another MTGArena economy video. Today we're actually going to be going over something that many of you have been asking me to do for a very long time. We're going to be going over quick, traditional, and premier draft all in one fell swoop and deciding what type of drafts you should be doing based on what kind of player you are. In my opinion, there are two factors that go into deciding what drafts you should be doing. And those factors are your skill level as well as your overall goal for your collection. If you're only drafting to acquire more cards, this is vastly different than drafting for the sake of drafting because you enjoy it. And the value is different depending on your goals. All right, so now that we've talked about what we're going to be doing today, let's go ahead and jump right in with Quick Draft. This is a draft I recommend for newer players that are at a much lower skill level when it comes to drafting, and I'll go ahead and talk about why. All right, so here we have the win layout and rewards that you get for Quick Draft. Depending on how many wins you get, between 0 and 7 is going to determine what kind of prizes you get, in addition to the 3 packs you get for opening the draft itself. After factoring in the gem reduction for your prize pool, I went ahead and figured out how much each pack is costing you for your draft, as well as the prizes that you get from your packs. And you can see that here on our little math overlay. If you're getting 0 wins, you're automatically getting a discount on your packs, about 25 gems per pack. Now, a lot of you guys commented before, even though I had mentioned it, that you aren't getting the opportunity to get the wild cards from either the packs or the pips, but not all of the packs are considered, in the draft. A lot of them are prize packs, and that will also count. But getting 25 gems off means you can also purchase more packs or do more drafts, and I think that should kind of compensate for it. So in my opinion, you're actually getting your value's worth if you're a collection builder at 0 wins. Now, anytime you spike a good draft or do very well, then you're just getting a further discount, making your overall average per pack much, much lower. So let's go ahead and circle 0 wins for those of you guys who are trying to build a collection. I also really like Quick Draft for those of you guys who are lower skill level when it comes to drafting, because the prize pool, as you'll see when we talk about Premier Draft, is much more leveled out. There is less prize at the top end and more prize for the first 3 wins than there is in any other format. So this allows you guys to spend more time actually drafting because you're spending less money each draft. Another reason I really love Quick Draft is it's great for newer players. Because there is no timer for the picking process, you can actually take as much time as you want. You can even leave the draft and come back. This allows you to spend as much time as you want reading the cards and making the correct decision. You can even take screenshots, share it with your friends, share it in Magic community discords, and ask them what they think their choices might be. So if you're trying to build a collection and you're not very good at draft, this is a great place to start. You're guaranteed to get at least your money's worth. And then anytime you get a little lucky, or who knows, your opponent disconnects, then you're just going to be getting a better average for your packs. For those of you guys who like limited just for the sake of limited, then we can go ahead and take a look at the gem return. Now, I know you guys get gems for just completing the drafting process once you complete your collection, so you can take that into consideration as well. But we can see that the break-even point for those of us who are drafters and, limited fanatics is 5.5 wins is what you need here for the average. You actually need a slightly higher average because the win ratio is much lower on the top end and doesn't go super high, right? Because it stops at 7. So your average does need to be a little bit focused, but that's not too bad. 5.5 wins. Also, going 5 wins with the packs that you get and the packs you're drafting with the gems you're going to start accruing once you fill your collection out, is comparable. So I would say 5 to 5.5 wins. Now, if you are newer to draft, at the end of the video, I'm actually going to be talking a bit about a really cool overlay that will help you guys with draft. It's a draft companion where it will put all of my rankings for each individual limited set up on your overlay for MTGArena. When you hover over the card, it'll give you a quick little statement about what I think the card is worth and whether or not it's good and limited. But we'll talk about that at the end for those of you guys who are interested, because I know most of you are just here for the cold hard numbers. All right, moving right along, let's go ahead and take a look at Premier Draft. Personally, as a primary drafter, this is where I spend most of my time. Quick and Premier are both best of 1, so it's kind of nice for content creation as well, because you can, take breaks in between games. You're not locked into a 3-game series. All right, so now looking at Premier Draft, the first thing that jumps out at me is that the 0 to 2 wins is actually basically the same prize payout, but Premier Draft actually costs twice as much as a quick draft. Plus you're on a timer, so it's a bit more competitive and you have to be a higher skill level. So there's just this big chasm between 2 and 3 wins in Premier Draft that you don't have in quick draft. So this is most certainly going to be a more difficult level for those of you guys who are newer to drafting. But as you can see, once you hit 3 wins in Premier Draft, you're actually getting a better discount on your packs than you are for Quick Draft. So if you're of a medium to higher skill level, you definitely would prefer to be in Premier Draft as opposed to Quick Draft. So we can go ahead and circle 3 wins here for those of you guys who are trying to build your collection through Limited, which is much farther down the pole than Quick Draft. So your skill level needs to be much, much higher in comparison. Another thing we look at for those of you guys who are mostly into Limited is where your break-even point is for gems, because the packs don't have a ton of value for those of us who don't need them. So we can go ahead and draw a little line here at 4.5 wins, because that is where you break even. Now keep in mind, again, this is not an average of 4.5 wins, because a 0 is so much worse. If you're getting a 2 and a 7 to average, it's not going to work out. So the average is more, 3+, but it is a good starting point for you guys to see these numbers. And I hope that you guys can see the difference in skill level as far as collection building and where you guys should be between these 2 types of drafts. Personally, I spend most of my time in the Premier Draft section. That is how I'm able to complete my entire collection, even on my free-to-play account where I draft about once per day. From time to time, I will have a bad week and run out of gems, so I do have to spend a day or two grinding up a little bit of gold, where I will then go into quick draft and slowly build back up. But for the most part, my free-to-play account does do 1 draft a day and ends up with a full collection by the end of the set. The last thing I wanted to mention when it comes to these 2 types of drafts that you might not know if you're not familiar with the MTGArena draft client is that you can actually get 3 losses before. So all of these wins are based on getting 3 losses and maxing out. So 3 wins to complete and get a half price discount on your packs for Premier Draft is going 50-50. 3-3. All right, the last one we want to touch on, guys, is Traditional Draft. Traditional Draft's a bit weird because you are guaranteed to play 3 rounds, best of 3. This is the only draft format that is best of 3 on MTGArena at present. And the prizes are based on your record in those 3 matches. So going 0, 1, 2, or 3 wins. Personally, I think this is much better for limited only players of the highest skill level. Although if you're consistently going 2-1, then you're going to be making a huge discount on your packs, and that's going to be a much better value than most. But 0 to 1 wins feels so bad, and you're almost paying twice as much for your packs. So if you're not consistently able to get 2 or 3 wins, then you definitely want to stay out of this arena. The break-even point here, being 2-1, is much higher than being 3-3, as we saw previously in the Premier Draft. After that, we go ahead and take a look at where the value for us limited players lie, and in order to break even, you do have to go 3 wins, but the 3 wins is double your money, so you're able to go 0 wins and 3 wins, so the averaging is much cleaner and definitely feasible if you are just trying to roll into a ton of drafts. I think all of these limited formats have merit as far as being best for someone based on those factors that we talked about in the beginning of the video, whether you have a ton of skill or knowledge in draft already, or if you're just trying to build your collection, you can kind of see based on these numbers where you should be based on that skill level. Only you know how good you are at draft. So by taking a look at these numbers, you can say, okay, my average is 4 wins. So you can take a look at 4 wins for quick and Premier Draft and see how big of a discount you're getting. Again, factor in that Premier Draft does have this huge undervalued 0 to 2 wins for prize pool. So if you're including that in your average, then you're actually going to be giving yourself a little bit too much credit, just because, yeah, 1 win is a beating. So here are our numbers, guys. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the MTGArena client, and I'm going to teach you guys about a really cool overlay that will help you with your drafts. All right, so now we've made it onto the MTGArena client. Now, not all of the draft formats are actually on the main page. You can have a little toggle button that will bring you back and forth, but if you just toggle to all modes, then you can hit the play button and see everything that's offered. A lot of my viewers actually don't know that there's standard events and quick drafts and all sorts of things. So quick draft is a format that's usually a cycle behind. So quick draft for the new set doesn't come out for one more week. I think it's usually about a 2-week wait period, but definitely still worth it if you guys are trying to build a collection on the cheap. So let's go ahead and open up a quick draft. Again, I think this is best for those of you guys who are newer to drafting because you have infinite time to make your picks and decide what cards are best for you. All right, so here is the tip that I talked about before that we're going to discuss. Now that is untapped.gg. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with my videos or my articles where I do a set review for every single card and discuss how good they are based on synergy and so forth. But if you download the untapped.gg overlay, it will actually just put a really cool thing on your gameplay. You can disable and enable a draft helper. So these are my ratings, and when the quick draft rotates into older sets, they'll actually be LSV's ratings. He's not cool anymore, so, you know, they updated and upgraded to my ratings. His went behind a paywall, so they were stuck with mine. But I am pretty decent at limited, so I've got some, you know, some insight. And now that we have enabled the overlay, you see a little rating 1 to 5 on each card, which tells you my feelings on it based on how I think it will perform in the average sealed or draft deck. And then if you hover over each individual card, you will see the text word for word written as I had it in my articles on Cool Stuff Inc. And you can see, I think Amaria's Call is a 5, Bubble Snare being a 3.5, and just above the draft format there, again, you see my explanations as to why and how that might or might not apply to your particular deck. This draft companion is actually really cool because it opens up an app and it will track all of your games if you set it to. You can have them figure out your averages and your win rates based on what colors you're playing and all of that good stuff. It's really handy for Constructed as well. I know most people use it as a Constructed device to track their games with each deck and tell them what they should be ranking with. But I also really enjoy it for Limited, and the draft helper is really useful for those of you guys who are just getting in to Limited for the first time or are inexperienced with a current set. If you are interested in downloading this MTGArena companion, I'll actually put a link down below. Downloading from this link actually supports the content, so I would really appreciate it if you use that if you're interested. But other than that, I think that's everything I have to say about the companion. So if you guys have any questions, leave those comments down below. So now we've got this downloaded. We are doing a quick draft, so it gives us as much time as we want to make our choices. We can even walk away, leave, turn off MTGArena and come back another time if you don't have a ton of time. And personally, a lot of my viewers like to take screenshots and ask what the next pick is. We have sections in the Discord for that. And yeah, it's really useful. I think it's great. You can take the time you need to read each individual card, and I hope that helps. I do have some videos coming out in the future to help you guys build both sealed and draft decks, kind of from the base up, talking about my thought process. I hope those will help. And I hope the value numbers help. And I think that's it for this video, guys. I really do appreciate you coming in and checking out the channel. It means so much to me. I've been working really hard on our YouTube lately and kind of branching out from Twitch. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment for your thoughts, and just let me know how you like the content and what kind of content you think I should be making. Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys. I'd like to give a special thank you to those of you who have signed up for our Patreon. I couldn't make this content without you. Also to Cool Stuff Inc. and KMC Sleeves for supporting the channel as well. Definitely check them out and use our discount codes to support the channel.